If you want to play the harp without mistakes, finding the right speed is the key. And that's true both when you're learning something new, putting sections of a piece together, and also when you're getting ready to perform. I'm Zuzanna, I'm a harpist and a harp teacher, and I often see harp learners falling into the trap of playing too fast and trying to do too many things at once. When you can spot the signs of this early though, you can get things fixed right then and there. So without further ado, let's move on to talking about the 7 signs that you need to slow down. One of the easiest ways to tell whether you're playing too fast is trying to count out loud and play. And before you ask, counting in your head does not count, sorry. You really need to hear your voice at the same time as plucking the correct strings on your harp, because that's where all the magic happens. If you can count out loud while playing at a steady speed, without stopping and without making mistakes, you're good to go. And if you're not sure how to count in your piece, this may be the sign that you're relying on how you remember the piece sounded when you listen to somebody else playing. And this can make it really hard for you to practice and learn that piece by yourself, because you will be trying to catch up with the melody at the speed that it plays in your head. To find your way out of there, you need to make sure that you understand the rhythm, so you know really well what number are you going to say on which note. I've been talking about this in one of the earlier episodes, so if you want to know how to get started with counting out loud and how to mark your score so you can do it correctly, make sure you check it out. I'll put it for you here and along with other recommendations in the description of this video. Another sign you need to slow down is mistakes, and especially if they keep coming up in the same spot. That's a flashing red light. When we play fast, we tend to play longer sections of pieces, and then if a mistake happens, it's really tempting to keep going and potentially make more mistakes. Slowing down allows you to look more closely into what's actually happening when you make a mistake. Occasionally, we may all experience a finger slipping here or there, and the point is not to play pieces 100% perfectly, but when mistakes keep happening in the same place again and again, there's usually something more to it. So if that's the case, and there's a spot in your piece where funny things just keep happening repeatedly, then you really need to stop, look into just this one spot and properly investigate what's going wrong. Then try playing it slowly and make sure you keep it at a speed that you're comfortable playing at, so that you are always able to play it correctly. Sometimes it may happen that there are no mistakes as you stop before anything happens. And that's something that, depending on a situation, can be helpful, or it can be a sign that you need to slow down. Let me explain. If you're just starting to learn a new piece, you will be stopping a lot, and that's a good thing. First, this helps you focus on small sections. There's just no point in trying to stumble your way through when there's so many new things within just a few bars. When things are new and fresh, it's much better to stop whenever you've got any doubts and to have a look into what's actually going on in there. But if you've been playing a piece for quite a while and some of it is flowing nicely, but some of it is not, that's definitely a sign that you need to slow it all down, all of it. And again, flashing red lights if you keep stopping in the same places again and again. Stop right there. So first, look into the spots where you're stopping. This is often about connection between different sections or about an unexpected change of pattern. You want to work on the beat just before, a few notes or half a bar, and then make sure you can connect it to what comes after without stopping. Second, make sure that you can keep going on when playing slowly. This is as much about technique, notes and fingers as it is about focus. When you keep stopping, your mind will find it harder to pay attention for longer periods of time, because every time you stop, it will be taking a break, a mental break. Slow practice, one where you steadily keep going, is also about building your mental stamina and for your mind to be able to stay focused on what you're doing right there and then. Of course, playing slowly makes it more challenging, because making your way through a piece takes longer, and that means that you have to stay focused for longer as well. But if you're able to keep your focus despite distractions, you will find it easier to stay in the zone when you will be playing your pieces through and actually performing. Getting lost in a score and not being able to tell where you are is another sign that you need to slow down. And I know that this can happen a lot if you're new to reading music and you're learning it as you also learn to play the harp. But that's even more of a reason to take things slowly. Harp is a tricky instrument where we often need to read a few notes in advance and also place some of these on the strings in advance. This means that every now and then you end up with a few fingers on the strings, and you may need a little extra time to tell which of your fingers is about to play next. It's really important that you can allow yourself to take all the time that you need there. Remember sign number 3, where we said that stopping early on is actually helpful? If you happen to lose your place in the score, it will really help if you can stop and figure out how to get your fingers to find their way around the markings in the score. Later, you may need to give them a hint, have some keywords that you say to yourself as you approach this tricky bit, and that will be a whole lot easier if you're progressing slowly. If you watched previous episodes of the Coffee Break Harp where we talked about playing with a metronome, you will know that when you put a metronome on for the first time with a new piece, you have a better chance of success if you set it up on lower speed compared to what you've been playing without metronome. But playing with a metronome can also show you very clearly if there are any spots that you're trying to play faster than you should, or where you struggle to keep up with the beat. If that's the case, you need to keep bringing the numbers down until you find a speed that feels comfortable wherever you are in the piece. Speaking of the metronome, this brings us to sign number 6, which is your metronome sounds broken. If you're using an app or an electronic metronome, these devices don't slow down. When they run out of battery, they simply stop. Mechanical metronomes are different and they need some maintenance from time to time. But if you've made sure to wind your metronome and it sounds fine, apart from when you play, this is actually a sign of something else. So if it appears that your metronome is slowing down, it actually means that you need to slow down your playing. And it's really worth persisting, because that will help you play your whole piece in one steady tempo. That's different though if your metronome seems to be speeding up at some point. If that's what happens, it's not you who needs to adjust your playing, but the metronome. So lower the speed and keep doing it until you find the tempo that allows you to stay at one and the same speed throughout your whole piece. Before I give you my final tip, I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Have you ever heard that you need to slow down? Do you find slow practice challenging? And if so, what do you find most difficult about it? Let me know in the comments. One other way to tell whether you need to slow down is choosing at random a spot in your piece and starting to play from there. And this is because often when we play too fast, we switch to sort of an autopilot. This means our fingers can only continue to play if they begin at a starting point they know well and are allowed to whiz through any problematic spots. So if you notice that there are some spots that you can only go through if you start a couple bars earlier and play at full speed, but it's not possible for you to start halfway through that section, that may be a sign that you need to slow down and dig a little bit deeper there. It's great that your fingers know what they're doing, but your mind cannot be left behind. So make sure you really understand what's going on there and can play that spot slowly. And yes, I agree, there are some places that may be a little awkward to start from, but this is more of an exception than a general rule. Sometimes you may need to start a few notes earlier, for example to include a connecting bracket. But please know that I'm saying a few notes and not a few bars. If you watched my earlier video on repair points, you will know that the more repair points you've got spread evenly throughout your piece, the more flexible you can be, and the safer you are in the long run. So doing this exercise will not only help you check whether you're not playing too fast, but it will also help you to feel more at ease when you will be playing your whole piece through, or maybe even perform for others. Now, if you want to know more about practice strategies that help you play the harp better, be sure to subscribe Coffee Break Harp for more harp tips. I hope today's video will help you easily tell when your pieces are in need of some slow practice. If you found it useful, leave a like and of course do let me know how it goes. I will see you here very soon. Take care in the meantime. Bye!